The Peace Domain Cleric is a really fun subclass for the Cleric. Now this is a modded class, as you could probably guess, and it's a lot more defensive and protective than being offensive. So let's go over it. We're going to level by level, comment on all the items you can need. So of course we start with the Cleric. Now this will give you Wisdom saving throw proficiencies, Charisma saving throw proficiencies, Simple Weapon, Morningstar, Light Armour, Medium Armour and Shield proficiencies. For your cantrips we're going to take Resistance, we're going to take Guidance, and we're going to take Sacred Flame. And that brings us to the Peace Domain. So the Balm of Peace thrives at the heart of healthy communities between friendly nations and in the souls of the kind-hearted. The gods of peace inspire people of all sorts to resolve conflict and to stand up against those forces that try to prevent peace from flourishing. Clerics of the Peace Domain preside over the signings of treaties and are unasked to attribute in disputes. That should have said arbitrate, but I totally misread it. These clerics' blessings draw people together and help them shoulder one another's burdens, and the cleric's magic aids those who are driven to fight for the way of peace. Now this will give you emboldening bond. So bond up to 2 willing creatures including yourself. While one bonded entity is within 9 meters of another, they can add a 1d4 to an attack roll, ability check or saving throw once per turn. It's a very early game, this is awesome to have. And as you can see, you can bond a number of people together, so we'll go over this. We'll skim Heroism and Sanctuary as spells that we will always have prepared. For ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution because this is a very heavy, concentration-based subclass, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Cleric level 2 brings a Channel Divinity charge. We also gain Turn Undead, and Balm of Peace. Move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. When you move them in 1.5 meters of an ally, they regain 5 to 15 hit points. An ally can only receive this healing only once whenever you take this action, so you can't really run back and forth. But it's an awesome way of getting some healing going, get to move, and it costs a Channel Divinity, not a spell slot. For your spells here, we are going to take Guiding Bolt, we're going to take Shield of Faith, Cure Wounds, Inflict Wounds, and Create or Destroy Water, so we can pair this with some lightning-based spells with other spellcasters or scrolls. Cleric level 3 brings level 2 spell slots. We also gain Warding Bond and Aid as always prepared spells. For a spell here we will be adding Spiritual Weapon, a nice little bonus action spell to allow us to have a summon. Cleric level 4 brings our first feat. We also gain 1 more cantrip, and for this we're going to take Toll the Dead. For ability improvement, you probably guessed it, but bumping our Wisdom from 16 to 18. And then for a spell here, we are going to come back down to this level 1, and we're going to take Healing Word. Cleric level 5 brings us Destroy Undead. We also gain our 3rd level spell slots, as well as Motivational Speech, so you can motivate up to 5 creatures. They gain 5 temporary hit points and advantage on Wisdom saving throws. And Beacon of Hope. Now what's awesome about Motivational Speech is it lasts until Long Rest. For spells here, we're going to take Spirit Guardians, and we're going to take Mass Healing Word, 2 spells I think are core for any Cleric. Cleric level 6 brings another Channel Divinity charge. You also gain Protective Bond. So when a bonded creature is about to take damage, a second bonded creature within 9 meters of the first can use its reaction to teleport next to the first creature and take the damage instead. This is awesome if you have a fighter in the group who has a massive hit pool. Teleport them to your rogue or your ranger, absorb the hit. For a spell here we're going to take the Glyph of Warding, one of my favourite spells in the game. And that brings us to Cleric level 7 where we unlock our 4th level spell slots. We also gain Opulence, Resilient Sphere, and the Aura of Purity as always prepared spells. So you can already start to see the threads of how this is a very defensive, protective subclass. For a spell here we are going to take the Guardian of Faith. Ties into the whole protective thing. It's a minor summon almost. Doesn't really last that long, but it can do out some damage. Cleric level 8 brings our 2nd feat as well as potent spellcasting. So you can add your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with your Cleric cantrips. This is awesome for adding extra to your Sacred Flame and your Toll the Dead. And with that being said, now's the perfect time for us to max our Wisdom at 20 with the ability score improvement. And then for a spell here, I would personally take Lesser Restoration. Cleric level 9 unlocks our 5th level spell slots. We also gain Dispel Evil and Good, and Greater Restoration as always prepared spells. And then for spells here, I would take Mass Cure Wounds and Flame Strike. Flame Strike being amazing, it's fire and radiant damage, and it's not concentration based, which is key. Cleric level 10 unlocks Divine Intervention. This is a once and done ability. You can use this once per playthrough for, I think there's like 5 different options. It's an incredible ability to have, but once you use it, it is gone, so you have to time it perfectly. For a cantrip here, we are going to take Bursting Sinew, and then for a spell here, we'll take Banishment. You could also take Contagion depending on what you want. Cleric level 11 brings our 6th level spell slots, and for this one, you probably guessed it, one of my favourite spells as well, Planar Ally. A nice way of having an extra summon on the battlefield, and this can be a massive lifesaver. And finally, Cleric level 12, we gain our final feat. Now for this, we are going to take Alert to boost ourselves up the turn order with the +5 to initiative. And then for a final spell here, we are going to take Hero's Feast. This will increase your HP, advance your wisdom saves. It's incredible. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Browbeaten Circlets, so when we are threatened, we have a +1 bonus to our spell save DC. The Cloak of Displacement, so this will activate at the start of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls, and this will last until we take damage. The Space Hunt boots for use of Dimension Door. The UNT Scale Mail, now you might be wondering why we're not using a better medium armour like the Armour of Agility. Reason being is, I think the Armour of Agility is best used for a dex-based character that has a maxed out dex. You get more mileage out of having the extra dex on it, you know, pushing it from a 17 to a 22, as opposed to us using it and only getting a 17. Or sorry, a 19. We might as well take a medium armour, pair it with the shield, it sort of trades off. This will also give you +1 bonus to initiative. The Gloves of Belligerent Skies, we have a lot of radiant damage, so this will allow us to inflict 2 turns of reverberation. The Shifting Corpus Ring for invisibility and blur. The Burnish Ring for paralysing ray. The Moondrop Pendant, so we have 50% hit points or less, we won't provoke opportunity attacks. And then we're going to use the Staff for Spell Power, +1 bonus to spell saves DC and spell attack rolls, as well as the use of Arcane Battery, meaning we have a free spell slot, meaning we can do both of our 6th level spells. You could also use Marker Share here if you want to, choice is yours. And then we're going to pair that with any shield you want. I like the Shield of the Undervote for the extra level 1 spell slot, as well as disadvantage on saving throws to resist spells or actions that inflict fear, but you can take a shield that has better abilities, a better armor class bonus. Choice is really yours. Now, before we leave camp, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to summon our Planar Ally by turning on our free spell slot. So we're looking for our Arcane Battery. Now you notice really when the spells glow in orange, and we're going to summon, in my opinion, the Deva. The Deva is awesome because it has a Thunderous Smite, it can fly, and it has the ability to revivify. So let's leave camp. Okay, and you can see we're here. So next thing we're going to do is Hero's Feast. Hero's Feast will allow us to boost our HPs. You see everyone's got a nice little buff thanks to that. And then from there, we can do Motivational Speech. So this will also grant people temporary hit points. No matter what you class this as, you'll gain, or you can target 5 people. So we're only going to target 5. It will last until long rest, and we're just going to get the lowest level possible. And we will target everyone. Target our summon as well. And there you go. Now unfortunately this didn't work on our rogue because he's already got 1 temporary hit point, but you get the gist of it here. After that has been done, we're going to use one of our Peace Domain key abilities, and that is our Emboldening Bond, where we can bond our allies together for the +1 bonus. If I can actually... there we go. And there you go, you'll see we're now all bonded for 100 turns. So let's go find that combat and check this out. Okay, you can see we're in combat and we're actually top of the turn order, which is awesome. So you can see our Deva here. Now Deva we can send into positions by flying to distract the annoying enemies up here, such as the Archer. And of course we have the Wrathful Smite, so we can do this, which unfortunately missed. Now you'll notice a lot of our spells are concentration based or abilities to use outside of combat. So the first thing we're going to do is get our spiritual weapon going. So let's get an axe and we'll place this down here. Just like that. And then in my opinion you want to set up as many sort of defensive capabilities as you can. So let's also get a Guardian of Faith going, and we'll put this here. And there we go. Now the Guardian of Faith will deal damage, we've got our spiritual weapon, we've got our Deva, and we have our warding bonds. And there you go, you'll see our Guardian of Faith is already coming in. Now if the Barbarian attacks it, it will retaliate with another attack. And there you go, you can see just down there. As you can see, we are causing the rogue to have to run around, really sort of cutting its way off the battlefield. Now it's the Guardian of Faith's turn. As you can see, every time it deals damage, it takes the same amount back. So it's dealt out 60 damage, meaning it's lost all 60. And of course, with our warding bond, we get the plus 1d4 to our attack to make sure we can definitely hit every turn. You can see our browbeat and circlet is kicked in there, so we've got the plus 1 bonus to spell save DC, thanks to being threatened. Then it's time for our spiritual weapon, which can come in here, deal some damage, just like that, a solid 13. And then back to our Deva, we can just try and pump out a normal attack, keeping the spellcast up here, or sorry, the archer up here busy. Now back to our turn, like I said, we do have a lot of defensive spells, so let's get Spirit Guardians going. Spirit Guardians being one of the best defensive spells in the game in my opinion, because we can do this, and we can run at enemies, cause them to take damage, meaning if enemies get close to us, they'll take damage. Now this is only once every turn, much like our healing spell, which we will check out too, but it's an awesome way of protecting yourself when you get people coming close to you, making you in danger. Okay, back to our turn. Now we still have Spirit Guardians going. We also, though, can do our Channel Divinity to do Balm of Peace. This is the spell, where when we run towards allies, we'll heal them up. And this pairs really well with Spirit Guardians, because as you can see, we can run around the battlefield, healing our allies, but also dishing out damage. So it's an incredible way of running around, causing damage and healing at the same time by just having this one piece of synergy. And because it's radiant damage, you can see we've put Reverberation on the enemy. But that still frees up our bonus action. So for example, if we wanted to, we could do Shield of Faith if we lose our concentration. We can do another heal, lots of awesome abilities. Again, we can send our spiritual weapon out to deal some damage, just like that. And we can run around the battlefield, causing some more Spirit Guardian damage, stacking up that Reverberation, potentially run into here with this enemy. There we go, dealt some damage to them. And we still have the ability to cast a spell and deal some damage. Now if we did our Toll the Dead, for example, we know this will add our Wisdom modifier to our cantrip damage. And you can see we can pump out a lot of damage with one cantrip. And this also means we can start moving around the battlefield. So if we were to come over here, we'll kind of scoot in here a little bit. You see we can kill off that enemy there. And like I said, we still have our big spells we can use. So we can throw out a Flame Strike. Now I don't know if we're going to be able to see. Can we? Yes, we can. So we can place our Flame Strike here. And this is a big damage dealer, as you can see. It is Radiant and Fire, and you can see it is a hefty damage dealer. Which of course still frees up our bonus action, where we could do a Mass Healing Word and heal up all our allies. Just like this. And then we can aim to get in the middle here, try and cause some more damage with our Spirit Guardians. You can see 21 on the enemy there, 13 on the enemy there, and then we can throw out another cantrip. So let's try and do Sacred Flame on good old Terse here. Now unfortunately they saved, which is unlucky, but we did still get the Reverberation. You see the enemy ran into the Spirit Guardians then, dealing 4 damage to itself. And again, we got the Spirit Guardians. Unfortunately they didn't make their save, but we can do an Inflict Wounds to get more damage pumped out, just like that. And a level 2 spell dealing 22 damage is incredible. And again, you can see the enemy over there, so let's try and do a Sacred Flame again. Another big save, unfortunately. I'm trying to show you damage output with this. Might just be easy to do Toll the Dead. Okay, let's try and land Toll the Dead, another cantrip which we know we get to add our Wisdom modifier to damage. And there you go, big 20. And that is the Peace Domain Cleric. Very defensive, very protective. You'll see we use one Channel Divinity. If we come in here and short rest,
That took the edge off.
we gain them back. So really awesome at just keeping that healing going. Our protective bond, as you can see, has still lasted. We still got 75 turns with it, so this can last a while. The Winterwalker Ranger is an incredible frost and ice based ranger modded subclass. So we're going to go over it level by level, combat sure and all the items you can need. So of course we start with the Ranger. This will give us strength and dexterity saving throw proficiency, as well as simple weapon, martial weapon, light armor, medium armor and shield proficiencies. Now for a favoured enemy here, we are going to start with Bounty Hunter. This gives us proficiency with investigation, and creatures we hit with our ensnaring strike, both in ranged and melee, have disadvantage on their saving throw. For a natural explorer, we are going to start with Wasteland Wanderer of Fire to give us resistance to fire damage. For your ability points, you have two options here. You can dump your strength, put it into intelligence, or dump your intelligence, put it into strength, but regardless, I would have 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For efficiency, say where it fits your roleplay. Ranger level 2 brings first level spell slots and our spells we can choose. So for this, we are going to take Ensnaring Strike. This will allow us to benefit from our level 1 class ability we took. And we'll take Hunter's Mark, because this is a must-have in my opinion for any ranger. It basically allows you to mark a creature. You do an additional 1 to 6 piercing damage whenever you hit it with a weapon attack. And if it dies before the spell ends, you can mark a new creature with it, and this will last until long rest. For a fighting style here, we are going to go with Archery for +2 bonus to ranged weapon attacks. If you wanted to do 2-weapon fighting, you can, because we are using dual wielding as well, but Archery is going to be our main sort of point of call here. But again, this really is dealer's choice, 2-weapon fighting or Archery. Ranger level 3 brings our specialization. Before this we gain one more spell, so we will take the Hail of Thorns for this one. And then that leads us into our subclass, so we are going with the Winterwalker. Rhymed with ice, you have hunted the monsters that haunt Arctic wastelands until you eventually became a frigid terror yourself. So this could be Frigid Explorer. We now have resistance to cold damage, so by level 3 we have resistance to fire and cold. Furthermore, once per turn when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, we do an additional 1 to 4 cold damage that ignores resistance. We gain Hunter's Rhyme, so ice rhymes you and your prey, protecting you and slowing them. When you cast Hunter's Mark, we gain temporary hit points equal to a 1d10 plus our ranger level, and the marked creature cannot take the disengage action. We also gain the use of Ice Knife as a spell. Ranger level 4 brings our first feat, and for this one we are going to take the ability improvement, bump our dex up to 18. Ranger level 5 brings level 2 spell slots, an extra attack, so when we make the attack action with our main action, we can follow up with an extra one. And Pass Without Trace, call forth a veil of shadows and silence them, giving you and all nearby companions a +10 to stealth checks. Super useful outside of combat. We gain another spell at this point, so we will be taking Spike Growth, because I love this spell. It lasts for 100 turns or until you lose concentration, but effectively you turn the ground into spikes. Any person moving through it has their movement halved, and they take 2 to 8 piercing damage for every 1.5 meters they move. This is an awesome way for slowing enemies down that are trying to get to you, and sort of just picking them off with your bow. Ranger level 6 gives us 2 new passives. So for the first passive here of our favoured enemy, we are going to take Sanctified Stalker, give us proficiency in religion and Sacred Flame. And then for Natural Explorer, we're going to take Wasteland Wanderer Poison, so then we have resistance to poison damage. Ranger level 7 brings Fortifying Soul. So your experience surviving harrowing environments allows you to bolster your allies in addition to yourself. When you finish a short rest, a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier may regain additional hit points and be granted advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition. So not only do you get the benefits of a short rest, but now short resting has the added benefit of additional hit points and advantage on saving throws. We get one more spell at this point, so for this one I would personally come in here and take Cure Wounds to give us a little bit of healing capability. Ranger level 8 brings Landstride Difficult Terrain. Difficult terrain no longer slows you down. We also gain our second feat, and you probably guessed it, but we are rounding out at Dexterity to 20. Ranger level 9 brings 3rd level spell slots, and to go alongside Cure Wounds we now have Remove Curse as well. We gain 1 more spell, and the obvious choice here is Lightning Arrow, a huge damage spike, and it's the only class that gets this ability. Ranger level 10 brings Hide in Plain Sight, so camouflage yourself with the environment to become invisible and get a plus 10 bonus to stealth checks as long as you stand still. 2 more passives here, so for this one we are going to take Mage Breaker, Proficiency in Arcana and True Strike. And for a Natural Explorer we're going to take the Urban Tracker for Proficiency in Sleight of Hand. Level 11 brings 3 new class abilities, so we start with Chilling Retribution. When you hit a creature with an attack, you may frighten the attacker. Polar Strikes, it's now a Frigid Explorer, has gone from a 1 to 4 to a 1 to 6 cold damage. And Chilling Retribution, this is what we had above here, as you can see. This just explains it a little better. When a creature hits you with an attack, you may frighten it until the end of your next turn. It is a Wisdom save as a reaction. We get 1 more spell, so here we are going to take Plant Growth. This will quarter enemies' movement speed, once again allowing to pick them off with ranged attacks. And finally, level 12 brings our final feat. Now for this, we are going to come all the way to the bottom, and I'm personally going to be taking Sharpshooter. Though you do not receive penalties from high ground rules, and a -5 penalty to your attack roll for a solid 10 damage. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with Savarok's Horned Helmet, Dark Vision up to 3 meters or 15 if you already have it. The number you need to roll a crit is reduced by 1, so it's now currently a 19, and we cannot be frightened or afflicted with other emotion-altering conditions, as well as a Constitution saving throw +1. We're going to take the Cloak of Protection for a +1 to armor class and saving throws, and you will see we have 25 AC. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers, so we cannot be enwebbed, entangled or ensnared, or step on ice or grease, and it gives us Misty Step to allow us to get into positions to rain arrows. The Armour of Agility, so this is a medium armour that has exotic materials, meaning we add the full Dexterity modifier of +5 to our armour class. For Gloves, the Winter's Clutches, so whenever we inflict cold damage, we'll inflict 2 turns of encrusted with frost upon the target, and this will allow you to freeze enemies. We're going to take the Ring of Protection for another +1 to armor class and saving throws. The Shifting Corpus Ring for invisibility and blur. The Amulet of Baal, so if we hit a target with maximum hit points, we can inflict bleeding upon them. And then for melee weapons, we're starting with the Weed Mother's Sickle. This weapon has advantage against wet creatures. It also has extra cold damage on it. The Bloodthirst, so this will allow you to have a +1 to your armor class. It also gives you the chance to riposte with True Strike, but more importantly, it allows us to reduce the number we need for a crit down by 1 again. So now our crit chance is 18. And we've had this with the Deadshot. Again, reduce the number we need to roll a crit, so now we need a 17 or above to critically hit enemies. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat and we are top of the turn order alongside our rogue. So let's do some damage. We've got Skeeve here, and we're just going to fire a very basic shot at him. And you see we have the cold on there, we cause bleeding. Okay, so we shot arrow, but what we're also doing to do is we'll run in, and we'll do our melee attack with our extra attack. And there you go, and you see because we did the melee attack, we get the encrusted with frost. That still allows you a bonus action, but unfortunately we used it for the offhand, so just bear that in mind. You see 2 big misses there on us. And now from here we know we have some abilities. So as our bonus action, we're going to do Hunter's Mark, and we'll place it on the Barbarian here. There we go. Now you see, because we've done that, we have 18 temporary hit points, which is huge. We also have all these other abilities we can do apart from just hitting with our ice attacks. So if we were to run out, for example, come down here, and we could throw out a 2nd level ice knife, hit both targets, and there you go, you see we caused 2 damage to them, put more encrusted with frost on them, and we got bleeding on this enemy. And unfortunately, spells do class as 1 action, not an attack action, so you don't get to follow up with a bonus one. Now you see, even though we took damage, we still missed, or they still missed an attack, and we maintain concentration. And the other benefit of doing what we did is because the icy surface, when they try to run, they will slip on it. Now we know we cannot slip on ice or grease, so if we put some distance between us and the enemies, just like this, We'll get our bow back out. And we'll just do a ranged attack on this enemy. You see we have the normal damage, we have the ice damage, and extra damage because of Hunter's Mark. And of course that also means if we want to, we can take a shot at the enemy here, and we finish this one off with a huge attack. That also means as a bonus action we could run in here, for example, if we had the movement speed, and attack with our offhand. What we'll do is we'll reapply our Hunter's Mark. Now unfortunately I'm just going to recast it because I don't see my reapply section, but there you go, we now have Hunter's Mark on this enemy. Now if we really want to build up the frost stacks, we can by doing the attacks with our sickle. So you see we have 2 encrusted with frost. With our extra attack we can knock this up to 4. And I believe if I check here you need 7 to freeze the enemy. Yeah, when there are 7 or more remaining, they must make their con save or take 1 to 4 cold damage and become frozen. You'll also see we have 20 temporary hit points now. And another big miss on us, thanks to our incredibly high AC. And we'll do more attacks. So if we get this up to 5, we got up to 7, and unfortunately they did make their save, so I don't get to show them off being frozen, but at least we dealt the damage. And now at this point it's just a case of finishing the fight. So what we'll do is we'll do our ranged attack, we'll get some bleed on this enemy, just like that, and then we'll fire at the barbarian again, making him chase us down here. That does still free up our bonus action. We could offhand melee, we could Hunter's Mark, we could even Misty Step if we wanted to. So we can Misty Step and come up here if we had the space, all sorts of fun stuff. In fact, yeah, let's come here. And now in prime position, we can start raining down arrows on these guys too. Okay, now unfortunately we did get thrown off the building, not the most helpful, but it's fine because it means we can just keep shooting the enemies here, pumping out double digit of damage apart from when we somehow critically miss. And what we'll do is we'll reapply Hunter's Mark, get those temporary hit points back. And there we go, 14 more now. So let's finish off these enemies here. We'll shoot Rump. We'll move ourselves down as far as we can. Now, we can't... Oh, sorry, we can reapply Hunter's Mark now. I have the option. So let's throw that on there. And we'll take a shot. And you'll see, because we reapplied Hunter's Mark, we gained more temporary hit points. So somehow they stack, which is awesome. And because of that, we are out of actions. Now we still have our big level 3 spell slots, like Lightning Arrow. And obviously this works better in a radius when you've got people grouped together. But even still, you can see the damage output is crazy. And again, what it means is we can run in and still land a offhand attack. And now it really is just a case of ending the fight. So we'll come in here, using our sickle, you'll see we benefit from our extra attack, and a big miss. Okay, let's reapply our Hunter's Mark, get some more temporary hit points. So put this on Terse, we gain 22 temporary hit points this time, and you'll see, now we have a better example of our Lightning Arrow. And there you go. Now unfortunately they did save, so the damage output isn't great, but you get the gist of how it works. So that is the Winter Walker Ranger. It's awesome at spreading frost, So that is the Winter Walker Ranger. It is amazing at spreading frost, at bleed, freezing enemies. You've got Lightning Arrow, and the opportunity to use your bow, or 2-weapon fighting. The Doctrine of Destruction Alchemist is a very heavy damage-based subclass mod, or subclass for the Alchemist mod. So we're going to go over it, we're going to level by level, combat destroy on all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Alchemist, and this will give you Alchemical Throw. This is your main action, basically you throw your alchemy. Now when you throw this, you will gain a bonus to your throw distance equal to intelligence modifier, and you have a more potent effect of the type. So if you throw Alchemist Fire, you have a more potent Alchemist Fire. Alchemy. So this will let you use your catalyst points to craft an alchemy item out of combat. And catalyze, this will let you do it inside combat as a bonus action, but you only have 5 turns to use that concoction you've made, otherwise it disappears. You'll also gain medicine and nature as proficiencies. Catalyst points, like I just said, you use this to make your alchemy items. You can also use this for abilities, which we'll go over when we get to them. We also gain experimental adapt, which means obviously the expertise in medicine and nature we just went over, and first matter synthesis. So you complete a long rest, you gain a number of primo materia equal to half your alchemist level, rounded up. There's also constitution and intelligence saving throw proficiencies, simple weapon, hand crossbow, light armor proficiencies. For formulae, now I went over these all in my Doctrine of Cruelty, so if you want to check that out, see a full breakdown of all these you can. But for our formulae here, we're going to be taking Alchemist Fire, we're going to be taking Healing Drought, Needler, and Oil Flask. Oil Flask and Alchemist Fire obviously pairing very well together to make flammable surfaces. For ability points, we're having 8 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For proficiencies, take what fits your roleplay. And that brings us to level 2. Now with level 2, we gain Experimental Alchemy, meaning if we make a DC 15 medicine check, we can brew 2 alchemical solutions instead of 1. Alchemical Theory. So your alchemical doctrine grants you a number of theories. Now you can switch between these as a bonus action, and each theory has an upgrade. Or not an upgrade, sorry, it has certain passives. So at this point we do get to pick our subclass, and this is the Destruction. So alchemists that follow the doctrine of destruction embrace the raw, chaotic forces of alchemy to obliterate, dismantle, and break down the structures of the world. So for this, we gain Instruments of Destruction. You have trained in the use of alchemical items in combat. When you throw an alchemical item, it deals extra damage equal to your intelligence modifier. So you can already see those little glimpses of this is more of a damage dealer compared to the cruelty one. We gain Entropic Theory Adrenaline Rush. So when you catalyze an alchemical item that deals damage, you gain 5 movement speed for that turn. So don't forget, this is your bonus action alchemical sort of like making. So you can use your catalyze to make the item in combat. It only lasts for 5 turns, but once you do that, you gain 5 meters of movement speed. Surge of Genius. So when you land a critical hit on an enemy, you recover a catalyst point. Very useful. And Black Salt Infusion. Your alchemical throws that deal damage consume a catalyst point, but allow you to throw 2 copies of the item at separate targets. Incredible stuff. Alchemist level 3 brings catalyst points, so we gain more of these, helping us do our abilities and make potions. We gain another formulae, and for this one we will be taking a basic poison. Oh sorry, no, we won't be taking the acid vial. So we can have the fire damage, and now we've got acid damage. For discoveries, again, I went over all of these in the Doctrine of Cruelty. So for this, we'll be taking Visual Calculus, so we get to add our intelligence to our initiative. And Physical Conditioning. Our hit point increase maximum by 2 for every level we have in Alchemist. So if you take this to level 20, that's going to be 40 extra hit points. Alchemist level 4 brings our first feat, more catalyst points, and Black Salt Bomb. Now you can craft this in and out of combat. And the Black Salt Bomb is a force-based 4 to 24 damage dealer and does double damage to structures. This does cost 2 catalyst points to craft. For ability improvement, you probably guessed it, intelligence to 18. Alchemist level 5 brings another catalyst point and 2 more passives. Now for the formulae, the first one we're taking is the Acid Oxidizing Agent, 3 to 12 acid damage, and reduces the armor class of creatures wearing armor that is made of metal. To go alongside this, we will be taking Malice, so a poison that can potentially blind people. Alchemist level 7 brings another catalyst point. We also now have Hasty Throw. So as a bonus action, we can throw an item from our inventory, like one of our alchemical solutions, but it doesn't have the extra benefits. So for example, with our normal throw, if we were to throw a Alchemist Fire, we'd have a more buffed up version of it. With this one, as a bonus action, we just have a very basic version. We also gain Hit the Deck. So having to react quickly to sudden unstable explosions has heightened your instincts to danger. When you're about to make a dex saving throw against an area of effect, we're using our reaction to dive out the way, reducing the damage to 0, but will be prone afterwards. So it's kind of give and take. You don't want to dive prone next to an enemy who can then just crit you. Alchemist level 7 brings catalyst points and more passives. For a passive here, we are taking Antitoxin. This is a nice way to stop us from being poisoned, as well as give us temporary resistance to poison. For a discovery here, we are going to be taking the Inland Empire to give us resistance to psychic damage. Alchemist level 8 brings our second feat. We also gain another catalyst point and fast hands, meaning we now have 2 bonus actions. For an ability improvement, once again we're going to be taking our intelligence to 20. Level 9, again another catalyst point and 2 more passives. For passives here, or sorry, for formulas here, we'll be taking Uriel's Fury, so we can throw this for cold damage and possibly freeze creatures. And we're going to pair this with the Serpent's Breath, 5 to 20 poison damage, and leave a poison cloud where it lands. Alchemist level 10 brings Swift Throw. So now as a bonus action, and using a Catalyst point, we can throw an item from our inventory, and we gain the extra potent abilities. So this is basically a bonus action version of your main throw, but it will use a Catalyst point. I know this can kind of sound very convoluted and confusing. I promise you it isn't. I'll show this all off in the combat tutorial, but it's really simple. We get another passive and Chemical Warfare, so grenades you throw that have advantage on their damage rolls. We get another discovery, and for this one we will be taking Discombobulate, so we can deal 1 to 4 bludgeoning damage and attempt to stun an enemy. Alchemist level 11, again another Catalyst point, and Volatile Potency. When you make a damage or healing roll with an alchemical throw, you roll an additional 1d6 and add it to the result. We get another formula here, and for this one we're going to be taking Flash Blinder, potentially blind enemies, but more importantly, incapacitate Steel Watchers. And Alchemist level 12 gives us our final feat, Catalyst points and the Magnum Opus. Now, you can take this to level 20, unfortunately the level 20 mod doesn't work on my console for some reason. I'm sure there's some sort of like mod compatibility issues, but this does go all the way to level 20. For a discovery here, you can kind of take anything at this point. It depends if you want something to help with your skill checks, for example. I'm just going to be taking Mercurial Stride to give us some more movement speed. And then for a feat here, we are going to be bumping our dex up to 18. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Mask of Soul Perception for a +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative, and perception checks. The Cindermoth Cloak, so if a creature damages us within 2 meters, they'll take burning. The Boost of Genial Striding, so unimpeded by difficult terrain. Now we're using light armor. Any light armor will work here. I'm just going with the Studded Leather to give us a use of a +1 to our initiative and 1 less bludgeoning damage. The Hell Dust Gloves, a +1 to our spell attack rolls and spell save DC. More importantly, our weapon attacks deal additional 1 to 6 fire damage. The Shifting Corpus Ring to give us invisibility and blur. The Caustic Band to give us a solid 2 acid damage on our attacks. The Amulet of Baal, so we can inflict bleeding upon targets at maximum hit points. Really useful when you're throwing stuff around. I'm taking the Lightning Jabber. I love this. You can also shock targets on a hit, and if we throw it, we do an additional 1 to 4 lightning damage. Only problem is if we throw it, we don't get it back in our hand. We have to pick it up. But being able to stun targets and just overall it's a solid weapon. And we're going to pair this with a shield. Any shield will work here. Take one with a +3, a +4, take one with a good passives, whatever works for you. Now, you will remember we can craft items, so you'll see we have 17 catalyst points in the bottom. We can craft alchemy, so let's make a oil flask. We'll make a alchemist fire, so you see the oil flask costs 1. Alchemist fire costs 2, so you see different ones cost different things. We'll make a black salt bomb as well. And then we'll finally make a Serpent's Breath. Now, the other thing to do, make sure you stock up and put all your items, or all your throwables, onto your alchemist. So, for example, let's send any damage dealers we have to our alchemist. Okay, so now that you've done that, you'll see we have a bunch that we've crafted and a bunch that we've just given to our companion. Next thing to do is you get to pick your theory. Now for this, I really think the Black Salt Infusion is the best, allowing you to throw 2 copies at the item at separate targets. So let's take that. Now before we get into combat tutorial, just want to show you. This alchemical throw is your main action throw. It adds your intelligence modifier to the throw distance, and you get the buffed up versions of the throw. If we come over here, we have our hasty throw as a bonus action. This is the one that doesn't add the additional benefits. And then we've got Swift Throw. This is the one that is your alchemical throw as a bonus action, but you use catalyst points to do it. So you gain the buffs, but you'll drain your catalyst points. And catalyst points do not replenish on a short rest, so bear that in mind. So that all being said, let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat and we're top of the turn order, so let's get this going. Let's do our Swift Throw, and we will throw our Serpent's Breath. I'm going to throw this just over here. And you'll see, once again, we can throw 2 copies, even though we've only got 1 crafted. So now we spread this all around. Because we did that, it did use our catalyst points, but we still have our spare bonus action because we get 2. So now we can do a hasty throw, and we can throw, if I press the right button, we can hasty throw, and we can throw, let's do our Alchemist Fire. And we'll throw this on the enemy over here. So you see we now have that burning surface, they've got bleed, and they've got burning. These guys have the noxious fumes. And just like here, noxious fumes, noxious fumes. So you can really stack this stuff up. And of course we can still throw a normal one. So if we were to come down here and throw a black salt bomb, thanks to our extended reach, you'll see we can throw this over here, we can throw this over here. And the black salt bomb will throw enemies around, and you'll see we just absolutely threw them off the ledge into the abyss down here. So you can kind of use these like Thunder Wave as well if you choose to. Overall, that is 1 round. We still got 9 points left, so let's end our turn. You see the enemy taking damage there, and the enemy took some noxious fumes there, having to jump in. You see even more damage there? That was a nice big miss. And then, because the enemy hit us, they do take burning. The enemy there just absolutely melted. Now, we still have some other things we can do. So, we got our Discombobulate. So we'll do this as a bonus action, and we'll try and stun this enemy. Now, unfortunately, safe, but that's okay. The other thing we can do is, if I do my Swift Throw, we'll throw the Ore Flask, and we'll throw this over here. We can then pair this with our Alchemical Throw. We can throw a bunch of abilities, so we'll throw this one here. And there you go, you can see you can cause mass explosions, lots of fire, bunch of burning and oiled, lots of awesome stuff here. You see the enemy taking the burn damage there, and they're still all oiled. Okay, let's just look at our base damage. You see we've got a bunch of different stats effects, thanks to all the stuff we have on our item, and we only do have 1 action. Now again, if we want to, we can do another Swift Throw, we can Discombobulate. So if we want to, we can throw out an Alchemist Fire. So let's just throw this up here at this enemy. We are going to stand in the fire, but that's okay. And there you go. So you can really just stack these effects up. Even got the hasty throw. So let's do this, and we'll throw our Oil of Combustion onto this enemy. And there you go. You see more burning on the enemy there. And more burn on that enemy. And there you go, you see the enemy just completely combusted there. Now if we come down here, we'll come over here. We can do our catalyst to make items, and you see we have a bunch here. So let's make a healing drought. And we will make a Uriel's Fury, the cold one. So let's throw our healing drought and heal all our allies. You see the healing capabilities is pretty hefty. Okay, once again, let's start throwing some stuff. So let's do our hasty throw, and we'll throw an Alchemist Fire, and we'll target the Barbarian here. We'll do another hasty throw, and we'll throw our Alchemist Fire, and hopefully we can torch the enemy over here. No, we can't quite reach, that's okay. So what we will do, we'll do our normal alchemy throw, and we'll do our freeze one, and we'll see the extra benefits we have. Or not. Let's close the gap then. Now we'll do our Uriel's Fury. And we can do 2 projectiles, but we'll just do it in the same area. And there you go, we have frozen the enemy in front of us. And at this point, it's just a case of ending the fight. So we just keep stabbing until the enemy dies. And you'll see the enemy is frozen for a very, very long time. You get like 5 turns of frozen. So if you can do this on a bunch of enemies, you are going to be laughing with how much damage you can do. So we finished the combat, and you can see you've got so many good options. You've got the oil and fire, you've got the frozen, you've got the poisons, you can explode the poisons. There is so much synergy you have with this. Now as I said, you see we have 1 catalyst point left. If we short rest, they do not replenish, so please bear that in mind. The Lunar Sorcerer is a really fun modded class for the Sorcerer that allows you to sort of enter different moon states, offering up different spells. You have a Sacred Flame that targets 2 people. Let's go over it, it's really fun. So, we're going to start the Sorcerer the Sorcerer class, and we're going to go level by level, comment on all the items you could need. So of course, we start with the Sorcerer, and this will give us Constitution saving throw proficiency and Charisma saving throw proficiency, as well as dagger and water staff and light crossbow proficiencies. For cantrips, I would take Firebolt, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp, and Bursting Sinew. For first level spells here, I would personally take Thunderwave and I would take Magic Missile, 2 spells that I love using from the start of the game to the end of the game. And that brings us to the Lunar Sorcery subclass. You and your forebearers have long been exposed to the concentrated magic of Toral's moon Selene, allowing you to harness the power of the very phase of the moon. So Moonfire allows your Sacred Flame spell to target 2 creatures close to each other. Awesome. Lunar Embodiment, and this is basically where you can enter a lunar phase. So while in this phase, you can cast 1 level spell of the associated phase once per long rest without using a spell slot, which is awesome. Your lunar phase gains additional bonuses at later levels, which are only available when manifesting the corresponding lunar phase. So we come in here, the 3 that we have are Full Moon, Crescent Moon, and New Moon. New Moon allows you to do Ray of Sickness, Crescent Moon will allow you to do Colour Spray, and Full Moon, Shield. In my opinion, especially early game, Full Moon is by far the most powerful. For your ability points, we're going to have 10 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 8 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 14 Wisdom, and 16 Charisma. This is if you're respecking. If you're not, Constitution at 16, you want your Dex at 14, Strength at 8. In fact, I'll just show you, it'd be easier. So this is how you want it if you're not respecking and you're playing this from the start of the game, or you're just not at the end of the game. 8 Strength, 14 Dex, 16 Constitution, 10, 10, 16. But because we're respecking, I am going to be going with the 8 Constitution route. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Sorcerer level 2 lets you create your sorcery points and your spell slots. You also gain 2 passives. For the spell slot here, we are going to take Mage Armor to help protect ourselves. And for your Meta Magic, we're going to take Twin Spell, meaning we can target 1 additional creature with our spells if we target this, and Distance Spell to increase the range by 50%. Sorcerer level 3 gives us another sorcery point, as well as a bunch more stuff. So for a spell here, we are going to take Hold Person, because I think this is one of the key spells for any spellcaster to have. This can really dominate a battlefield, allowing you to hold enemies so they can't do anything, and then any attacks on them within 3 meters are guaranteed critical hits. It's a huge ability. For a Meta Magic here, we're going to take Quicken Spell, so we can cast a action spell as a bonus action instead. Level 4 unlocks our 2nd level spell slots and another sorcery point. Now for a spell here, we are going to take Minor Illusion. And then for a main spell, we're going to take Misty Step to help us get out of danger, to get to high spots, to cast spells. Basically, survivability and maneuverability. For your feat, you probably guessed it, but we are going to bump our Charisma, as this is our spellcasting modifier, up to 18. Sorcerer level 5 unlocks 3rd level spell slots and another sorcery point. For a spell here, we are going to take Counterspell. Again, I think this is a must-have for any spellcaster, especially a sorcerer or wizard. Having that battlefield control, being able to nullify enemy spellcasters is awesome. Sorcerer level 6 unlocks Lunar Boons, so never use your Meta Magic on a spell of the School of Magic associated with your current Lunar embodiment. You can reduce the sorcery points spent by 1 to a minimum of 0. So essentially meaning if you wanted to do a Quicken spell, it would cost you 2 instead of 1. Now as you can see here, for Full Moon it's Abjuration and Divination. For New Moon it's Enchantment and Necromancy, and for Crescent Moon it's Illusion and Transmutation. You also gain Waxing and Waning. You gain greater control of the phases of your lunar magic and can spend 1 sorcery point to change your lunar embodiment. This is huge because it means you can bounce between different lunars now. And if you come in here, you will see it still only tells you about Shield, Colour Spray, and Ray of Sickness. For a spell here, we are going to take Lightning Bolt because I think this is phenomenal, especially if you compare it with a Create Water type situation. The damage output is just phenomenal. Sorcerer level 7 unlocks more sorcery points. We also get to pick another spell, and for this one we're going to take Haste. Again, being able to put this onto a fighter or barbarian, give them a +2 to AC, is incredible. Sorcerer level 8 unlocks our next feat. Before that we get to pick one more spell, and for this one I would personally take Rays of Fire, or sorry, Scorching Ray. This is awesome. 3 rays, 2 to 12 damage. It's just a nice solid damage dealer. You can upcast this for more damage. Essentially, it's just a really good low-level spell for pumping out some damage. For your ability improvement, you probably guessed it, but we are going to be taking our Charisma from 18 to 20. Sorcerer level 9 unlocks another sorcery point as well as our 5th level spell slots. Now for this one here, we are going to be taking Cloud Kill. The reason I'm taking this is number 1, high damage. Number 2, it heavily obscures everything inside it, but most importantly, while you're concentrating this, you can actually reposition it every turn. So for 1 spell slot, if you can maintain concentration for 10 turns, you can essentially keep placing this on top of a group of allies. So you can pump out a mass amount of damage just using 1 spell slot. It essentially makes the sort of spell economy of these spell slots worth more. Sorcerer level 10 gives us another spell slot. Now before that we gain 1 more cantrip, and for this one I would personally take Light, as it can be very helpful in those hard to see areas. For a spell here we are going to be taking Fireball because it's Fireball. And we gain a Meta Magic, so we'll be taking Careful Spell. We can trigger this to make sure allies automatically succeed saving throws against spells that require them. Sorcerer level 11 unlocks Lunar Empowerment. So, again, this will boost our sort of lunar phases. So with a full moon, we gain advantage on investigation and perception checks. New moon is advantage on stealth checks and attack rolls have disadvantage against you. And crescent moon, resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. So you can really pick and choose these for the situation you're in. We get 1 more spell, and for this one we are going to take in Chain Lightning because this is an incredible damage dealer at high levels. And Sorcerer level 12 gives us our next feat as well as another spell slot. And for this one we will be taking the Globe of Invulnerability. I think this is another must-have for a very control-based character. Create a barrier here, so that makes creatures and objects inside immune to all damage for 3 turns. If you place this down and then you place your allies at the edge of it so enemies can't get to you, you can actually attack enemies on the outside, but they can't damage you. Really nice way to not only cheese the game, protect your allies, get a round of healing in. If you are against like Baldur, for example, I used this and it was a lifesaver. And then for your final feat here, we're actually going to be taking Dual Wielder. Reason being is we're going to be using 2 staffs that both have Arcane Battery, giving us 2 high level spell slots for free. Okay, let's start with our equipment, and we start with Birthright. Charisma +2 up to 22, awesome as it's our spellcasting modifier. The Cloak of the Weave, +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, as well as absorb elements once per short rest. The Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. The Robe of the Weave, +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Whenever we succeed a saving throw, we'll regain 1 to 6 hit points, and an armor class +2. Pairs very nicely with the Braces of Defense, so as long as we're not wearing armor or holding a shield, we get a +2 bonus to our AC. When we take the Snowburst Ring, so whenever we deal cold damage, we also create a 4.5 circle of ice around the target, awesome for things like Ray of Frost. The Shifting Corpus Ring, sometimes a spellcaster needs to go invisible to not get hit, or blur so they don't get hit because their health pool is diminishing. This is perfect for that. The Amulet of Greater Health sets our Constitution to 23 and advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. Amazing for holding on to your concentration. And then for staffs we're going to go with Marcus Share and the Staff of Spell Power. Both give you a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and both have Arcane Battery for those 3 spell slots. With Marcus Share we also gain Kreshka's Favour as an evocation spell. So you'll see our AC is currently 21, make sure when you finish long resting, you go into your Mage Armor, hit this, and now you should see a 21 AC. So that is the build, let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, we are going to do our Lunar Embodiment, so if we trigger this, let's pop on, we'll do New Moon. And there you go, you can see we are now Lunar Embodied with our New Moon, and this will open up some options when we get into combat. Okay, you can see we're in the combat, we're actually quite high up the turn order. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to come into here and you will see we have our Ray of Sickness New Moon available. So we can do this. This is once per long rest, don't forget. But let's just do that here. And unfortunately I made their save, but we did deal 12 solid damage. We also have the ability to do a Quicken spell. So this is what we can use to sort of improve our AC or whatever to set up an attack. For example, if I was to do Haste, and let's put that on our rogue. What that now means is, if we didn't do Ray of Sickness to begin with, we could have hasted, and then do the bonus action Quicken Spell and Mirror Image to really protect that haste and any concentration we have. We did a nice big miss, and then we took some damage, but we still made our concentration saving throw. Okay, now make sure you have your Moon Fire turned on, and this will mean your Sacred Flame can target more than one person. So we could target Skeeve, and there you go. Now it will cause friendly fire, as you saw there. So make sure the enemies you target are very close to each other. For example, this would work very well, but in close proximity like this, it's not going to work for you. So as you can see in that nice little demonstration, you will cause friendly fire. Please bear that in mind. And as I said, we are a big damage dealer, so we can do a lovely Chain Lightning. If we were to target the enemy here, you'll see we zapped loads of them for a huge amount of damage, and that's why I think Chain Lightning is just the best level 6 spell to take if you want to pump out mass damage, especially as a wizard or sorcerer. Now obviously a lot of the stuff you would have seen is used for outside of combat, so this does play a lot like a regular sorcerer. But let's say we wax and wane and we change to a full moon. As you'll see, we now have the shield ability, so if someone targets us, we could, for example, shield ourselves, protect ourselves from danger. This means we can free ourselves up with a Cloud Kill, for example. We can place it up here. And there you go, we've killed the enemy there and put Cloud Kill on this one. And like I said, what's really good about Cloud Kill is we can move it every turn, so the damage output we can get from this for one spell slot can potentially be massive. You see the enemy took more damage there. You see a nice big miss thanks to our huge AC. And then we made our concentration save with that one. And as you can see, we still have our Cloud Kill going, so you want to move this every turn. Now, you'll have two options here. One will just say Cloud Kill, the other will say Reposition. Make sure you choose the Reposition. And we're just going to reposition it to here. And there you go, the enemy is once again within the Cloud Kill, taking damage. Another big 13 damage. And there you go, you'll see they will jump and do whatever they can to get out of the cloud. And once again, we can get huge utility out of that spell by just moving it to here. And there you go. And we can do our Celestial Beacon if we want. This will give you advantage on investigation and perception checks within the lights area. No point doing this until you're out of combat, in my opinion, but this is a really awesome utility-based thing that the sorcerer can now do thanks to your moon phase. But don't forget, while we're concentrating on that, we are still a spellcaster, so we can do a Scorching Ray. We could upcast this to level 4 to shoot more projectiles. And there you go, you can really use this to take enemies out, and we still haven't used anything like Hold Person or anything like that. Once again, we could do a Quicken Spell if we wanted to, so we could come this way, make sure we've got line of sight on the enemy over there, and we could drop something like a Ray of Frost if you want to do a cantrip. Or we can drop a higher level thing, such as a Fireball. So if we were to drop this, say level 5, over here, if I can make sure we actually hit, and there you go. Huge potential with this sorcerer, really good inside combat abilities as well as outside. And that really is the Lunar Sorcerer summed up. Now that we're outside of combat, you'll see we can do our Celestial Beacon, and there you go. Now we can run around, and if there's any investigation or perception checks that need doing, we'll have advantage on it. The Circle of Winter Druid is a really fun modded subclass for the Druid, but it is spell-based. Now you can still wild shape, however it will remove your sort of core class feature. But let's go over it. We'll go level by level, combat to draw on all the items you could ever need, so of course we start with the Druid. Now, at level 1 we have Wisdom Saving Throw Proficiency. This is also your Spellcasting modifier. Intelligence Saving Throw Proficiency, Club, Dagger, Javelin, Mace, Quarterstaff and Scimitar, and Sickle, Spear, Light Armor, Medium Armor, Shield proficiencies. A few cantrips here will be taking Shillelagh, and we'll be taking Thorn Whip. For your ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution to help with our concentration, 10 Intelligence, 16 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. For your skill proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Level 2 unlocks our Wild Shapes, as well as Natural Recovery. We'll gain another cantrip. And we get our subclass, and for this we are the Circle of Winter. so you harness the powers of the frigid tundras of the world and the harsh seasons of winter. Now the core feature here, we gain Ray of Frost as a cantrip, but Winter Spirit. Channel the Might of Winter to gain 5 temporary hit points, and deal additional cold damage with your spells and melee weapon attacks while you have them. This will last until long rest, however, Winter's Spirit ends early if you use Wild Shape. This ability in itself also uses Wild Shape, so while you can turn into your animals, it is basically set around being in this Winter Spirit form. Now for your cantrips here, we are going to take Cure Wounds, Healing Word, Create or Destroy Water, Thunder Wave, and Ice Knife. Druid level 3 unlocks our second level spell slots. We also gain Sinalock's Snowball Swarm as a level 2 spell that is always prepared, alongside Darkness. For a spell here, we are going to add Hold Person. This is one of my favourite spells in the entire game. Any held humanoid, if they are attacked within 3 meters, it will be a guaranteed critical hit. Landing this and then having a barbarian, a fighter, anyone with multiple multi-attacks, or extra attacks I should say, you can decimate a fight in rounds. A Druid level 4 unlocks our first feat. Now before that we gain one more cantrip, so for this we will be taking Guidance. And then for the feat, you probably guessed it, but the ability improvement, I'm going to bump our Wisdom up to 18. For a spell here we're going to take Spike Growth. Druid level 5 unlocks Wild Strikes while you're within your Wild Shape form, but we also gain Slow and Sleet Storm as always prepared spells. For spells here we're going to take Cool Lightning and we're going to take Moonbeam. Druid level 6 gives you Blizzard Cloud, so while under the effects of your Winter Spirit feature, you may reduce the movement speed of a nearby creature. Additionally, you're immune to slipping while walking on frozen surfaces. We also unlock more Wild Shape forms. For a spell here, we are going to take Plant Growth. Now obviously if you have Mistress spells, you could take other water or cold based ones. I'm just trying to go with as many of the core spells as possible. Druid level 7 unlocks our 4th level spell slots, as well as Ice Storm and Fire Shield as always prepared spells. For a spell here, we're going to take Conjure Woodland Being. What's awesome about this is that this summon also can summon someone, so your Dryad can summon their Woodwode. At level 8 we gain our second feat. Now for this, you probably guessed it again, but we are maxing out our Wisdom at 20. And then for a spell here, we're going to take Conjure Minor Elemental to keep building up those summons. Druid level 9 unlocks our 5th level spell slots, as well as Hold Monster, which is a huge spell to have always prepared, along with Cone of Cold. For spells here, we're going to take Conjure Elemental and we're going to take Mass Cure Wounds. Level 10 brings improved Wild Strike. We also gain Slippery Magic. So when a creature fails its saving throw against a spell you cast that deals cold damage, it falls prone. The bonus cold damage granted by your Winter Spirit feature does not count as a spell dealing cold damage for this feature. So essentially any spell that you have that will deal cold damage that has a saving throw, if it lands, you'll guarantee that they fall prone. A really nice way of just nullifying the battlefield. We gain one more cantrip at this point, so for this one we will take Poison Spray. And for a spell here, we're going to take Insect Plague. Druid level 11 brings our 6th level spell slot. Now, typically you'd only get one 6th level spell slot at level 12. Because we are using a staff that has Arcane Battery, we will have a free spell slot use. So we are going to take Hero's Feast so we can buff our allies, ourselves, and our summons. And then finally, level 12, that will bring you Cold Soul. So your body permanently resembles a creature of snow and frost. You're immune to cold damage, and when a creature hits you with a melee attack, it will take 6 cold damage. Now for your feats here, we are going to take Alert, +5 to initiative to boost us up that turn order. And then finally for your final spell, we are going to take a damage dealer in Sunbeam. What's awesome about this as well is that while you're concentrating on it, you can recast it without expending a spell slot. So it's a really nice way of getting a lot of utility out of one spell, especially a high level one. Okay, let's go over our equipment. We start with a Cold Brim Hat. So once per turn, any condition inflicted on a target also applies 2 turns of encrusted with frost. We're going with the Cloak of Displacement, so at the beginning of our turn, the cloak will activate, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against us until we're hit. We're going to take the Boots of Genial Striding, so movement speed is unimpeded by difficult terrain. We're going to take the Weave Mother's Robe, We have resistance to fire and cold damage. If the wearer is standing in water, we'll heal 1 to 4 hit points at the start of our turn. Armor class +1, as well as create or destroy water as a spell. For gloves, we're going to take the Winter's Clutches, so whenever we deal cold damage, we will inflict 2 turns of encrusted with frost upon the target. The Burnish Ring for use of Paralysing Ray. The Snowburst Ring, so whenever we deal cold damage to an enemy, we'll also create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around them. This means if they try to move, there's a good chance they'll slip on the ice and fall prone. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation, so when one of our cantrips deals acid, cold, fire, lightning or thunder damage, we add our spellcasting modifier to the damage dealt. And then for a staff, I would go via Marcus Share or the Staff of Spell Power. Both have the +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, as well as Arcane Battery, giving you that free spell slot. And then for a shield, I'd recommend taking any that you have at the highest AC possible to boost your armor class as far as you can up. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start getting all our summons. So, we want to get, when I can see them in my list here, the Woodland Being. So let's get our Dryad. And the Dryad can summon the Woodwode. So for 1 spell slot, we've now gotten 2 summons. Just like that. The next thing we need to do is we need to get our elementals. So we are going to come in here, conjure our 5th level, and we'll do a water elemental. And put them there. Fits our theme here very well. And then finally we have our minor elemental as well. And we can get the ice nymphs. And there we go. So that is our setup ready. So let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, now that we left camp, the first thing we are going to do is we are going to get basically our frozen ability, Winter Spirit, going. We'll also gain 60 temporary hit points, which is insane. So you can see we are pushing 160 health in total. And if we Hero's Feast up, when I can find it, with our Arcane Battery, so make sure this is turned on so you get the free spell slot. And then we will Hero's Feast. You see we can basically hit everyone here. And everyone has gained a health pool, and now we have pushed over 170 HP as a pure druid. So now let's go find that combat. Okay, you can see we start the combat and we are actually top of the turn order. So let's get this going. The first thing we're going to do is we'll strengthen our Shillelagh as a bonus action. That way if we can do melee damage, it's at least going to be a little pumped up. And for this we're going to do a very, very base cantrip of Rare Frost. So you can see our damage output. And there you go. You can see we caused a huge amount of damage. 4 stacks of Encrusted with Frost, knocked the enemy prone, and they have ice all around them. Our Elemental can also get some damage going. Okay, now it's time for our Dryad. So with our Dryad, once again, we'll do the same thing. We'll strengthen our Shillelagh, and we'll start trying to ensnare some enemies, as we don't go up the ladder for some reason. There we go. So let's try this again. We'll come here slightly, so we've got more room. And unfortunately we didn't land the ensnaring, but we did deal some damage. Our Water Elemental has the awesome ability that it can Elemental Warp, meaning we can send it to teleport up here, and then we can land big slam attacks, just like that, dealing some pretty hefty damage, and also inflicting chilled. Okay, the Woodwode gets a turn, and the Woodwode is pretty much just a tanky heavy hitter, so we can send it up there to deal some damage. Now we have our Ice Mints, and these things are awesome because they can sort of just fly around and deal some damage. So we'll send one up here, and you can see it has a Death Burst. It can throw a Chromatic Orb, so if we throw that at this enemy, unfortunately they missed. But we can try the same thing with this one. We'll fly it over to here, and with this one we will throw out an Ice Breath and get something going like this. And you see we can make all these icy surfaces. You see the enemy there had no chance to do anything, being stuck. And one awesome thing we can do if we send ourselves this way, You'll see we can walk over the ice, as you know, without causing any slipping, anything like that. And we can throw out our big cone of cold. So if we do this at just 5th level, you'll see the damage output we have. Huge 86 damage and encrusted with frost stacks. And of course, as a bonus action, we still have the ability, if we want to, we can come in here with a healing word, and we can heal up your hero who's taken a few hits with our druidic abilities. Once again, with our dryad, we can try and entangle the enemy with another miss. And we'll send our elemental over here, and we'll try and do a multi-attack this time. Just like that, and you'll see the damage is crazy. Again, our woodwoe can just do some tanking and slight damage dealing, like that. And our ice mints we can send up here to do a claw attack, or if we want to just get rid of our summon and deal a huge amount of damage, we can do a death burst as an AoE. The other thing we can do, send them over the ice to try and slash, which was another big miss. Now see, the enemy here still is encrusted with frost for 2 turns. If we were to do another cantrip of Rare Frost when I can see it, just here, we'll keep those stacks up. And you see we've placed it in a way where there's now ice around all the other enemies as well, and they are now up to 6 stacks of encrusted with frost. If we get to, I believe it is 7 stacks, yeah, when there are 7 stacks or more, they must make a Constitution saving throw or take 1 to 4 cold damage and become frozen, which is huge. You see we get a nice big opportunity attack. And again, with our elemental, we have the ability to just fast travel as much as possible. I say fast travel to do our elemental warp. For some reason, we went down the ladder before doing it. But then we can come back in here with another multi-attack. Just like that. Okay, we're going to place ourselves over here next to this enemy, but we're not going to attack. You see the enemy here has slipped on the ice, and the reason we did not attack is because I want to show off our ability to do Blizzard Cloud. We can throw this on Runt down here, and unfortunately he saved, but that would have reduced his movement by 3 meters, which would have been enough to show off when he runs away. Instead, I'll show off our melee capabilities, because we know we deal extra damage, and you'll see we even landed encrusted with frost with our melee attacks. Now let's try our bonus action again of Blizzard Cloud. We'll try and throw it on Runt here. And there we go, we have landed the Blizzard Cloud, so now they have their movement reduced. And we might get some friendly fire here, but let's do our Snowball Swarm. Can we target both? Might just be out of reach for both. It is, so instead we'll just do it on the enemy here, and there you go, fallen prone. So this is such an awesome just build and mod for just freezing everything, knocking people prone, reducing movement speed, dealing huge amount of damage with your summons and yourself. It's pretty powerful. And obviously an enemy being prone means we have advantage, take some big swipes. Especially when you have something like a multi-attack, meaning you can land your hits much easier. And at this point it is pretty much just a case of ending the fight. So we'll swipe that enemy, and we'll do an Ice Storm at level 4, targeting this enemy. And there you go. Now you see we still have loads of our temporary hit points left, but this is just such a tanky mod. The whole having 60 temporary hit points really makes up for the low AC, but the amount of abilities you can throw out that aren't concentration based is just phenomenal. And of course, as you remember, if we did need to heal up, we can stand in water, and we'll heal up 1 to 4 hit points at the start of our turn. So I hope you've enjoyed the Circle of Winter mod subclass for the Druid. I think it's incredible. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you have, let me know in the comments what you change, any new items or abilities. If you're ready, please drop me a like and subscribe to the channel for more. I've got more guides to Baldur's Gate, to Dragon Age, Path of Exile, Elden Ring, Oblivion, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, Expedition 33, all the amazing RPGs you could ever need. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.